Hey everybody, welcome back to Real Estate Investing Made Easy. This is Christian Weatherspoon, joined with the PPC expert in digital advertising, and we're going to talk about what the heck PPC is. If you've ever asked that question, well, Daniel has the answer, and he's going to make it easy. The biggest question, especially when I first heard about it, is what the heck is PPC?
When you hear PPC, it is an acronym for pay-per-click. And it also is synonymous with SEM, so search engine marketing. So SEM actually used to kind of be an umbrella term that would encompass SEO as well. But as we've moved on in time and we've gotten more nuance in our focus, SEM is often as in distinction from SEO. So search engine marketing, and that's going to encompass paid media, which is your paid search. So, your Google, your Microsoft, and then you've got paid social. So that's going to be your Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, TikTok, PPC, AKA SEM, which encompasses paid search and paid social.
What is the difference between your PPC and your SEO? Because isn't it the same thing?
They're both important, and I would actually say they're complementary because, a lot of the insights that you get from running PPC can actually inform your SEO strategy. But one of the key differences between the two is that interval of time. It's that go-to-market reality that you're just going to have to be a lot more patient with SEO. But here's the spoiler alert, is even if you nail it on your SEO and you are ranking in the top position for your keyword in your area, which if that is the case, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But here's the reality. You're still position number 5, right? If you're first place organically, you're really 5th place in the SERP, the search engine result page, because who's in the top 4? I mean, that's your sponsored section. And that also kind of hints to where Google's priorities are. I don't know if you remember when the organic results used to be adjacent to the sponsored results, and then they did this. And now if you're doing really well organically, you won't even be visible above the fold. You actually have to scroll down to get those results. So I think that's a really important distinction. So obviously the similarity is people are putting inquiries into the search engine, and results are populating relevant to those keyword searches. That's how they're very similar. PPC and SEO are based on the same kind of idea. We want to get results onto the search engine result page that are relevant to what the user is looking for.
I'm curious, does that also include like video ads on YouTube?
Yeah, so we typically would kind of lump YouTube underneath that category as well because of the search nature of YouTube. It's really a search engine when you think about it, and it's populating the results that are most relevant to what you're looking for.
Right, because that's where the audience is. They're all there on Google. What about Microsoft and Bing?
So Microsoft and Bing is, we're really talking about an identical, interface process. We're really just talking about a difference of volume and cost, because you don't have the premium with Microsoft that you do with Google. So you're not going to get as much volume, but the volume that you do get is going to be 1/3 of the cost that you would have to fork out for Google's inventory.
I'm curious, are there a particular type of demographics that you've known or seen, or maybe your team that you've heard reported, that would utilize something like Bing?
That's a really good question, because I may have forgot to mention that. That is an important distinction for Bing, for example. It has been reported that the users on Bing tend to have more buying power. So you would have a lower conversion cost for that traffic, but you would also have people who have the ability to actually make a purchase. Like education wise, they tend to be just people with, on average, who are college graduates, or just tend to be an older demographic. And so, their financial situation's going to be different.
So ostensibly high ticket sales. If somebody has a business that they're selling really high price point, either products or services, like a coaching company for real estate, which we interface with a lot. We are not a coaching company, but we definitely work with other consultants and coaching. I imagine that utilizing Bing, if they're not, I would phrase it this way, then they're probably missing a portion of the audience that they could reach, but they're just losing out on.
I would agree. And I think if you ask me any more questions about Microsoft, I feel like they're going to have to pay me some kind of a commission, because
They don't really that.
this is a little bit of a pitch for Microsoft, because there's one more thing that I'm realizing it's related to what you're talking about. And it's the fact that one of the other benefits of Microsoft is there's not as many advertisers that you have to compete with.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why the traffic isn't as expensive. And so that's generally what we're looking at. Well, our traffic's not as expensive. Well, that's helpful, but just the fact that you're not having to compete with as many people either does give you an advantage as an advertiser.
So you spent some time talking about paid search. We didn't spend too much time yet discussing paid social. So as far as paid social, what would you say to paid social in general, and how you would rate it?
Experientially, even in the last few years, just a few things that come to my mind is, one, e-commerce actually tends to do really well on paid social. I think one of the reasons for that is the whole Google shopping ads and platform is it's very saturated. So you want to try to get your e-commerce platform to do well on Google shopping. I know there's guys out there who could pull it off, but it's going to be tough. I've seen a lot of guys come in who aren't huge players in the e-commerce space do really well on paid social. So, but yeah, I think just backing up, just to make a distinction between the two in terms of strengths and weaknesses. So what makes paid search so enticing, in addition to the many things we've already discussed, is that you have the level of intent that we talked about. So when you have the ability to get in front of somebody who is close to making a buying decision, they're farther down in the sales funnel, that's a really sweet opportunity. That's not every advertiser. That's not every company. Some folks have a different priority. They want to do more educating. There isn't a current demand for their services because maybe there's something innovative that they're introducing to the market. Well, paid social is a great place to kind of get some of that visibility, because paid social, what Facebook's interface does really well is they provide a robust demographic targeting. Just the ability to get in front of people based off of their interest, based off of their income level, based off of various behaviors. I can't say that Google doesn't offer some demographic targeting because it's there. It's just not nearly as granular.
Well, Google wouldn't be able to tell where they checked in.
That's right. Yeah. And if they can, they're at least not giving us the access to that lever.
Right.
Or
the permission or authorization to track us on our phones. This video will remain up. We didn't say that. I totally hear what you're saying, man. And I mean, it's, to me, the difference between buyer intent and a pattern interrupt as a marketer. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, and I probably am, when you're marketing on social media, people are scrolling through a feed, and there has to be a pattern interrupt where you're looking at kitten videos and maybe catching up with what your friends were doing over Labor Day weekend to, hey, stop what you were doing, right?
yeah.
Is there any other form?
Well, I'm just distracted by how you know what I do when I'm on my work breaks.
Oh,
the whole kitten videos, like you just called me out. So,
well, it goes back to what we were hush about when we talk about Google and tracking.
yeah.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah. So kitten videos, that's great. Just don't tell Ben, your pup.
Yes, my dog Ben. He's so cute.
So, yeah, kind of that whole disruptive requirement, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so another way that we actually think of the two realms within PPC, paid search, paid social, is we think about it as pull advertising and push advertising. So you think of paid search, you're pulling the folks in because they're conducting their keyword research, versus paid social. It's a push advertising, to your point. You're having to really get things out in front of people. And I guess you could think about as in a disruptive way, but hopefully a welcome disruption if your audience is relevant to what you offer and you're doing a bang-up job.
That's just very intriguing to me. So I'm curious, we talked about social media, but what in particular, other than the obvious Facebook and LinkedIn, as you mentioned, are kind of tied together, are good platforms to actually have advertisements on?
Yeah, I mean, probably doesn't need to be said about LinkedIn versus Facebook. They're really accomplishing the same end, just with a different target, B2B versus B2C. B2B, business to business being LinkedIn, business to consumer being Facebook. On Instagram, you can kind of think of Facebook/Instagram. It's kind of a package deal. To advertise on one is essentially to advertise on the other. And there's other publishers out there too that are getting some momentum. TikTok is one that we get asked about probably the most frequently, even more than Amazon. Even though Amazon is a bigger platform, they've been around a lot longer. TikTok has just generated a lot of interest. And so there's opportunities there as well.
And if you don't want to be on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, and it's important to be on it, because clearly it is, we talked about why, then an advertiser, somebody who has a business, needs to, regardless of whether or not you want to, instead of you doing it, outsource.
Yeah, actually, I reached out to my team. So one of our guys who handles our paid social ads, I asked him because I mentioned that we get asked about TikTok. So I was curious to ask him, hey, what's kind of your experience on that platform? And I thought his response was interesting. He said the main thing here is going to be content, though more than on any other platform, you really need killer, authentic content. The ads are just the distribution for content that gets people interested in what you are doing. The ads don't look like ads. The ads look like a helpful video helping you solve your problem. So anyone wanting to run ads needs to have the content side down or be willing to experiment with it. So just throwing that in for free, because I had literally just sent that message today and that was his response.
So it's the pro tip. That is, your content has to be valuable and actually something that somebody wants to digest, right?
Yeah, and of course we would say, well, yeah, isn't that true on any platform? And the answer is, of course. I think the point is that for TikTok, it's really got to be top of game.
Right. Have you seen the study that shows that attention spans in general, I don't know, I didn't participate in the study. Somebody did. That it went from 8 seconds to 4 now.
Wow.
And that TikTok was one of the catalysts to just kind of rein in the attention span to actually do the opposite of reining it in, because it's 4 seconds instead of 8.
Wow. And if that's you, here's a pro tip. You should read Cal Newport's book called Deep Work. I'll just throw that out there because guy's super sharp, and he really does a great job of helping folks like you and me develop the ability to kind of do cognitively demanding tasks, which require the ability to focus. So
really good recommendation. I'll link that in the description below. Deep Work. Check it out.
So the bottom line, when you think of paid search, is that you have the level of intent. You get access to folks who are closer to the bottom of the funnel. And the bottom line for paid social, so that's your Facebook is kind of the icon for paid social, is you've got really robust demographic targeting. That's just going to allow you to get in front of a very specific audience.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video all about PPC. To see the next one, click right here where you can guarantee Daniel and I are going to make it easy.